Nice to meet you, Philip. How's it going?
Anton? Yeah, it's really good, man. Really good. Yeah, excited to finally get to actually do the podcast because we've been trying to do it for ages, and every time we try to organize it, there's always, I swear to God. So we've like before we started doing this, I was saying like, oh, there's something's happening in town, and there's a steam engine that keeps going. Or there's some steam engines floating around that keep going off, and they hadn't done anything for ages. And then and then one went off, and I was like, there it is. And now they just keep going.
They have a steam engine train convention. That's
something like that. We don't know what it is. That's the thing. It's like because I'm from like rural England, right? So these kind of things. It's the summertime, and this is England. We get very, very hot periods, like these kind of heat waves, right?
Yeah,
which everywhere gets now, obviously with climate change and everything. But man, like we get like very, very short periods of time where people expect it to be hot. So all of the events and stuff are organized for a very narrow band of time. Yeah. So everything happens at the same time. And it's now apparently we're during this really hot period. That's why we've got like windows open and everything, because it is absolutely boiling.
Yeah, same here. I would not survive here sitting on my desk without the fan in the background, blowing some wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start like with your artist persona, PalKid. Do I pronounce it right?
Yeah. PalKid. It's a very simple moniker. Because my actual name is often mispronounced and often misspelled as well. My surname is a dyslexic person's nightmare, as I've been told by dyslexic people, because it's got a string of vowels and stuff that are in awkward positions. And people just get it wrong every time. So when I'm quite like sensitive to the reality of like needing something that's easy to see and read, and for someone to hear it and be able to type it into their into Spotify or the internet and find it correctly. And PalKid it's very PalKid. It's 2 syllables.
It's super easy to remember. You
can't really misspell it.
Yeah, true.
I do think that is important. Like when you're setting up a project like that,
Is that the only story of the name, or?
So Pal is literally just a nickname. It comes from my first name and my surname. It's a portmanteau. It's a portmanteau of my first name and my surname. My first name's Philip. My second name's Aldous, and Pal.
Yeah, now I see it.
Yeah, but it's also Pal. This wasn't really planned out, but a lot of people pointed out to me. Pal TVs, like old TVs. Used to, particularly when I used to play like GameCube games and stuff, it would come up at the start, like what TV settings you have, 50 hertz, 60 hertz, all that stuff, right? And PAL would be there. So a lot of people see it and they go, oh, is it a reference to that? And I'm like, no, it's not that. But I mean, it's a nice little coincidence.
Yeah, and it fits like the lo-fi genre because it's like vintage and it totally fits the vibe. Sweet.
Yeah, then it's that. To be honest with you, I didn't launch the PalKid project until 2022. But I took the name on as a kind of online screen name around 2021, 22, something in that ballpark. And I just used it because it was simple, easy. But, yeah.
Okay, it makes sense.
The thing, I mean, I music in terms of my music, it goes right back to. I go back as I'm one of the older guys, right? Like I go right back to. I finished doing studying music at university when I was 2012, 20. I'm 31 now, so and a lot of the people coming through in lo-fi in that space, they're like, they're 19, 20, or even 17-year-old, 16-year-old teenagers who because of the way technology's gone and DAWs and VSTs becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, to the extent that now you can set up a free, you can set up a computer system with using nothing but free VSTs, make incredible music, and in pretty much any genre, in fact.
That's true. Music production is now out there for everyone to participate in. That's a thing, yeah.
And when I started, I remember the first nice VSTs that I ever bought. I studied to be a film, TV, video game composer, and I am a video game composer now. So, but I studied to be film, TV, video games, and I wanted to do orchestra. So I wanted to do orchestral, stuff. So and this was back when you had to spend thousands to get a good orchestral setup, you know what I mean? The Cine Symphony or Cine Sample stuff, and the really nice East-West stuff, and even the Spitfire stuff, the really high-end stuff, was so expensive. And I remember the first VST I ever bought was something called Garritan Personal Orchestra. Now this is like old stuff. This is quite possibly the worst orchestral. You would never use this anymore. It sounds terrible. You can free ones that have come out now, like the new, relatively new now, Berlin Free Orchestra that they've done. Absolutely incredible. And I think I got my family to spend like 150 quid for a Christmas present or something, buy me this absolutely crappy orchestral library to make music with. And I'm looking back on it now and I'm just like, what a waste of money, because that was useless, And it's incredible how music technology has gotten better and better and better, to the point that the free stuff is better than the paid stuff used to be. And even to the extent that now, obviously with AI, you can make music without even knowing how to make music, just by clicking a button. And then we get onto the whole this whole situation with oh god, I've forgotten what they're called now. That band that have come out, that's people are talking about, Velvet Violet. What are they called?
I don't know the name of the band, but I know exactly which one you're talking about. One that is now super viral and has tons of listeners.
AI band. I'm going to Google it. The Velvet Sundown. Oh yes. Yeah. Oh my god, it's just incredible. It's. I wasn't planning to get onto this so quickly, but oh man, this is driving me mad. Because there's all of this conversation about how Spotify are going to clamp down on bot playlists, and they're going to clamp down on fake music and all this stuff. They're going to make the distributors track everything, and they're going to charge the distributors if people buy botted streams and all this stuff.
Yeah,
really?
Exactly. And now they're using bots to make music and
they're using bots to make music. They're using bots to buy plays for that music. It's going, that it's essentially picking up as much traction as physically possible, and then it's just it's getting into playlists, getting mixed into playlists with real music. People can't hear the difference because the AI has advanced now to the point that it's so good people can't tell the difference.
If you have a super expensive and good AI, but there's a lot of very shitty AI music out there.
Oh yeah.
That you can instantly hear the difference, and you think what the fuck? Why should someone post something like this? Especially when it comes to vocals, vocal music.
Oh yeah. It's incredible. I don't know if you've ever gone on Udio, the one where the one of the main. It's Unio and Suno, the two main AI ones, right? Unio. If you ask Unio to make you a song, you don't give it too much information, every song it produces, in my experience, sounds like it will, for some reason, always steer towards acoustic singer-songwriter. And it always sounds like Ed Sheeran. I'm convinced that they literally just put Ed Sheeran's playlist through it and then Ed Sheeran's discography and just went, just learn this. It's all music.
Okay. No, I actually never tried using one of the tools myself.
I think it's a case of know your enemy. It's worth like giving it a shot, not for the sake of ever releasing it or anything like that, but just for the sake of like just getting your head around quite how bad it is, like how destructive, like how just destructive it's going to be in terms of the long term. Because I mean, like imagine you were running a record label, right? And you get an email, and the email is somebody a prospective, someone selling you music or trying to put forward their music and saying, "Hey, sign us. What do you think of this?" You've got, you've got no way of knowing half the time if this music is real, fake, where it came from. You can listen to it and you can try, and apparently now I haven't tested it yet, but apparently there's a new algorithmic device or something which you play the music through it and
it can detect if it's AI.
Whether it's AI or not. Now, how accurate it'll be, how long term it is. Apparently, it was produced by a guy called Ben Jordan, the Flashbulb, who's apparently he's very kind of technically gifted in that area, so maybe he's built something that really will work for the long term. But I have a feeling, I don't know, I'm quite pessimistic about it in terms of.
Yeah, the thing is, in my opinion, when the whole AI stuff came up, it was like hype for a moment, and after a while, everybody got like so sick of it. I mean, I really can't stand how social media is working right now, where every second video is kinda AI bullshit. Especially all that brain rot stuff that is also AI made, like why and how, and it just makes me angry. And I really don't think that people will, let's say within the next 2 years, not get like super angry about this, and something will happen.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the thing, there's this. Like the other week or two ago now, I saw a video on Reddit where it was somebody was getting onto a plane, and there was an argument between a woman and a flight attendant on a plane, and they were trying to get on with their emotional support kangaroo. Right. Now, on first glance, you would believe this was a real video. There's a kangaroo standing there looking very confused, and there's a woman arguing with a flight attendant. Then you look at it again for more than about 5 seconds, and you suddenly go, their hands are doing weird things, and everything just has a bit of a smeary Vaseline quality. And the audio sounds really weird and choppy and glitchy and strange. And you go, oh, this is AI. But here's the thing, like that kind of information, that kind of video, that's exactly the kind of thing that idiots will see and go, oh my God, world's gone mad. There's a bloke there's a woman with an emotional support kangaroo. You can't have an emotional support kangaroo. And they'll, no, of course not. But it's fake. It's not real. But people. Yeah, but the thing is, world's gone mad.
There are really the sad thing is there are really people out there stupid enough to believe that there are emotion support kangaroos. I mean, if you know a little bit about kangaroos, then you should know that this animal rather kick your ass super hard before it gives you any kind of support. It will just like box the shit out of you and jump further. Yeah.
But that's the thing, like as a society, we have to move at the pace of our slowest gazelles. And unfortunately, we are not, as a society, advanced enough. We're not ready for a technology that can produce fake emotional support for kangaroos. People won't, people will believe it.
You know what I think is? I don't know if you saw the movie or heard about it, but there's a movie out there called Idiocracy,
Mm-hmm. I've never seen it, but
showing the future, how it will be, and how like the intelligent people will extinct, and all the newer generation will become dumber and dumber to a point where they have no food because they start watering the plants on the farms with Gatorade instead of water and stuff. Because electrolytes are super important, especially for growing tomatoes and stuff. And I mean, I saw this movie the first time. It's a quite old movie, like 10 years ago. And I was like, no way, that's a nice comedy movie. And I recently saw it again, like a few months ago. And for real, we are so close to live in that scenario. Like the amount of brain rot bullshit out there is so big. People that are entertained by that, like, are not just like a bunch. There are a lot of people enjoying this, all this bullshit. And I don't know if you heard about the deaf internet theory.
The dead internet theory. Yeah.
And I think quite intelligent enough people will more or less completely delete all their social media and go offline and just try to enjoy their life like as normal humans.
But I feel like we're just so connected to the internet that we can't step away from it. Like, because you know everything's online now, banking and you know.
Yeah, but that's not the thing. I talk especially about like social media and all that stuff.
Okay.
No, I in my friend group, like my personal friend group, so many people left Instagram, TikTok, and all that bullshit. They only run their e-banking on the phone. They have still WhatsApp to communicate with each other. But they don't scroll through Reels and TikToks and all that kind of stuff. Because it's just dumb. Same thing with like, X or all the other social media platforms that are so hard-bodied. There's a theory that already like 80% of the users on X are just bots.
Oh, bots. Yeah. I don't even think that's a theory. I think at this point it's literally just like Meta didn't even try to deny. They openly admitted that they had fake users, and that's been going on for years and years and years. I mean, many years ago now, when I was like 2012, really, over 10 years ago now, I did some Facebook marketing advert stuff through the early Meta advertising, before Meta even, but when it was just Facebook. And the results, when people, it was to advertise a Facebook page, and the likes, when you went on there to check the new followers, these people just made no sense. There was no real consistent logic to them. They were scattered all over the world, but they didn't have any real
connection with the topic.
They just seemed it was a completely weird, disparate group of strange bot accounts. And it was so obvious. And, we were spending money. Actual money was changing hands. We were paying Facebook to promote our stuff, but they were just sending it to total, sock puppet accounts, right?
Yeah, and so dumb.
Yeah, and Meta. I think Meta have improved massively. I mean, we now everyone uses Meta advertising. In that perspective, everything has improved in that area, but as a whole, social media and the way it's gone with everything AI and all this stuff, it's getting so much worse, and we're kind of forced into interacting with it in a very real way, because we were saying just before we started recording, as musicians, we are content creators. We have to be content creators. we don't get the choice to sort of opt out of content creation if we want our music to get to anyone.
Yeah, especially now that like all the not all but a lot of the the featured artists on, let's say, algorithmic playlists are just like bots that Spotify, especially in lo-fi. Spotify is using bots that create music and they feed it to the bright mass because it's, in the end of the day, for 90% of the listeners, or even more than 90, it's background music. And they feed like this computer-generated music to like listeners to have something in the background, and they don't really care about real musicians anymore. I have one example. Yesterday, I got a comment on one of my reels, and it was a clip from the podcast that we talked about the YouTube channel Home Alone. It's like a fully AI-made YouTube channel with like hour-long mixes, lo-fi hip-hop, millions of listeners, millions of subscribers, and is very popular and big. And a random person commented on that reel like, "Oh, I didn't know that it's AI, but I really enjoy that sound, so I don't care." And I was like, okay. And exactly, like the first comment was, "I don't know that it was AI." And I'm like, yeah, now that you know, do you now prefer this over like real musicians' music? Especially, I know, for example, Lo-Fi Girl don't promote AI music in their mixes. They only use all human music. So if you want to listen to just lo-fi mixes for the background, you can still choose this instead of obvious. I mean, Home Alone, you check the YouTube channel, it's obviously AI. There's like no doubt about that. So it cannot be confused by a halfway intelligent person. If you see the artwork, if you see like, also if you read the captions and everything, you have a 1 hour long mix. And if it would be produced by like real musicians, you would tag them at least. Or even if it's like from one musician alone, it would be an artist page and not just a YouTube page, right? And people really don't care if it's AI instrumental music or real instrumental music.
It's one of those things where I think you can't completely boil it down to people don't care. Some people care, some people don't care, and some people aren't even listening to the music. It's just on. They just click play and it's on in the background, and they don't even engage with it. It's just there. But there are some people who will actively try to avoid AI, but they just don't realize they're seeing it, or they don't realize they're hearing it. They don't know what's happening. And it's one of those things. I think at some stage legislation will come in where you have to display that it is AI, and things will, there'll be some kind of tagging system. But I don't think it's going to come anywhere near quickly enough. I think it's going to be, 2, 3, 4, 5 years plus of it sitting there, of it just sitting there, this conversation going round and round and round, while we all just sit there going, "What are you going to do about this?" And nothing will happen. That's me being pessimistic about it again.
That's why I really believe that that internet theory is a thing, because I don't know how is it for you, but for me, when it comes now to content or especially music making, I'm a little bit in the struggle right now with proceeding to put that much time and effort in producing more lo-fi tracks. I don't know if you saw that or not, but my release schedule went like down to like maybe 1 or 2 beats a month, not every Friday, and sometimes only like 1 beat a month and stuff. And if I feel like it, I make a song, but I kind of changed my mind a little bit away from, okay, I see a legit good chance in becoming a full-time producer. I make quite a buck with, with the distro and everything. In the last 2 years when I started doing music, I at least came to the point where I get like every month some income. It's not enough to pay the rent, obviously, because that would need like millions of streams with Swiss prices anyway. And now I kind of focus more on, being a sound engineer, and I now focus a bit more on mixing and mastering for like other podcasters, and do that stuff just to get like a better income through the skills of making music. And I don't know, every time I open YouTube and I just want to get myself inspired for, let's say, original lo-fi, because I also I like doing covers, but I also enjoy doing originals way more. And the internet is full. It's like YouTube is so overfloated with AI music, AI mixes, and it's in the top results. So you type in lo-fi mix, top results. It's on top. You have lo-fi girl, and then you have 5 AI channels, and then you have probably something that is a mix that could be like 50-50. There are like channels that take submissions from different artists, and I bet that like a good amount of those artists submitting to their channels are also just putting out AI music. And it just fucks up, to be honest. Also, the same thing, we had that discussion on the server in Discord a lot, a few times already. If you check the algorithmic playlists, you click on the artist, it's like a not registered artist with no social media, no background, nothing. So that's not a legit person behind that. Or maybe it is a legit person behind that is paid by Spotify, and they say, hey, we give you only 30% of the streams, but therefore we will give you millions of streams. And those producers say, it's like, okay, I'm cool with that.
That's been going on for years and years and years. So that's like really. There's a book that the title of which I cannot remember now. It's gone, but I've got it at home, and it's it talks about how Spotify came to be, how Spotify cracking the code or something like that, I think it's called. And in that they talk about how Spotify launched and what the plan was and how they managed to. Because you think about something like Spotify, how do you launch that? Something of that size, you need to secure the licensing rights to an enormous amount of music. You need to make a platform that's going to allow you to distribute. Remember, streaming wasn't a thing at the time. Like that wasn't streaming. Essentially, began with Spotify in its current form. It's such an impossibly difficult thing to set up. How did they do it? And when you look into the background of it, it's just insane. Like, the fake artists they needed to inflate the size of the platform they had, the size of the library they had. And the only way they could do it was by getting fake artists. So they had their own original music produced using fake artists that they didn't have to pay. So they could put as much money, they could get as many streams as physically possible coming through, because they could make it look like they had, but they could hold on to that money.
The thing is, it only works in, let's say, genres like lo-fi, like instrumental music. It doesn't work for, let's say, obviously we just got like another proof with this Velvet Thing band that it's like a rock band, right? Rock
Yeah.
But also what I don't understand, because I spend a lot of time in the rock scene, where I went to a bunch of concerts with, I spent like a good 5, 6, 7 years of my late teenagers and early 20 years with metalheads and punks and stuff, and we just got drunk and went to as many concerts as possible. How is that a thing? I mean, that cannot be like legit 1 million monthly listeners. It's like bot music listened by bots, because I know when I know something from that scene is you want to have a story behind the artist, you want to go to the concerts, and you want to experience that music live. It's it's such a big thing to really be a part of the scene. And for me, it's really hard to imagine how an AI rock band could become that big that quickly. Maybe it's just out of curiosity, maybe it was just like a good PR gag. Because I think there was even, newspapers and like these news channels from the TV, they are all on TikTok and social media as well. And I probably saw 2 or 3 different, like this news shorts from those news companies talking about that band. And I can really imagine that, like, the boomers and like the older people that are also on social media think like, oh, this is so interesting, let me check that out. And yeah, probably got like pushed very big by those news companies, so the people just like once click to the song, listen it once, and next month it will be forgotten again.
Yeah, I think the thing with any, there's a big difference between vocal music and instrumental music, because vocal music, there's a voice there, and behind a voice there's always a person, and a person, generally speaking, obviously there's AI, and that's the AI vocals have changed that slightly, but whenever there's a voice, people want to engage with that voice, they want to engage with that person, which means they want to know who that person is, they want pictures of the singer, and they want to maybe videos to interact with that singer through reels and music videos and all this kind of stuff, right? And so there's people aren't really going to be drawn to a vocal artist, but with lo-fi, it's very much, and any instrumental music, ambient or even like maybe something like post rock or something like that. I think people will just they're just interested in the sound. They're interested in the instruments. People are less drawn to the player, the performer. There's a kind of acceptance that robot music is,
Yeah, and some people just want to have the noise. With ADHD, you need something in the background to stay focused if you're doing something. Or the same thing, like sometimes you just need any kind of noise in the background that helps you fall asleep, so it distracts you from your thoughts. And yeah, it's honestly, I was super positive and like optimistic about all that topics when this AI thing first came up. Like if you listen back to the first episodes of the podcast where we had this topic, I was like super optimistic, like, yeah, it will never replace humans. But with articles like this AI band is getting so big, or after seeing that comment on my reel on Instagram, that the person enjoys the Home Alone channel and is not giving a damn about, like real artists and just enjoys the music, it really changed something,
I think it's one of those things where it's going to keep getting worse until it gets better, and we're just going to have to kind of ride it out. And I think legislators will have to, pressure will have to be placed on legislators to do something about it as soon as physically possible. How quickly that's going to be, I can't tell you. But I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. But
on the other side, if the legislators just get like a piece of the cake of that whole AI bullshit scene, they won't give a damn about it anymore. I mean, we live in a world that is really ruled by the ones that can pay you. I mean, the companies that can pay to fake a study will sell their products. It's not a secret. You know what I mean? It's really not a secret. And yeah, I really don't know where this whole thing will move. Yesterday it was so funny. I had a friend coming over. We drank some beers, and we got a bit tipsy. And then, for the first time in my life, I used the talking chat function of ChatGPT, where you can real time talk with it.
Okay, I've never tried that before.
And that was yeah. We started asking like crazy stuff like, what do you think about the technical singularity where AI thinks that people become like the worst thing that destroys this planet and the robots have to get rid of people and stuff. ChatGPT didn't really want to talk about that. Another topic that ChatGPT didn't want to talk about was I was asked how to do what's the English word, work hours broad, how long that you can spend time on the toilet, that the company doesn't notice that you are just chilling and not actually work there and stuff. Didn't want to talk about that. Told me I can give you 5 tips to be more productive in the work instead and all that bullshit.
I like the idea of ChatGPT just being like, we've got no interest in a technical singularity. Shit, they're onto us.
Yeah, man.
But no, it's one of those things. I don't know. I feel like we can go around and round in circles forever talking about AI. It's just so it's such a huge topic for music. But yeah,
it's I think a big topic for a lot of different, especially artists. I mean, I'm pretty sure that a lot of graphic designers lost their job now through AI. Even if it's get better and better every day, especially in the image generation.
As my partner is a graphic designer, I can confirm. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. Do you have a Nintendo Switch? Doesn't matter if the one or the two.
So we've got one. Yeah, we've got one over there.
Have you checked the shop, the Nintendo shop?
I mean, not what specifically about it?
It's full with AI games, AI-made games.
Interesting. What are we talking because they would AI games, as I understand it, they're pretty simple games at this point. They're like Tetris level games and stuff like that.
No, they already do supermarket simulator and all that stuff, simulation games. And they put out thousands of them.
Oh.
Out of curiosity, you can go to the sale and you will see every week at least 20 of those AI-generated simulator games for $1. Right. And out of curiosity, I tried some. They all suck.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the market there is I don't understand why Nintendo, especially Nintendo, is accepting such games in their eShop. That's the first thing that I don't understand about this whole thing. And I mean, the matter of fact that there are so many out there means that people are legit buying them. Otherwise, it would be not this big amount of bullshit AI games.
People are buying them because they don't know they're AI, I guess. That's kind of just I don't know. I suspect with a company like Nintendo, I imagine they're probably not making them. It's just a case of their platform. They have a platform. It's for selling games. These are games that sell. Okay, go on then. Go ahead. Sell the products. it's making money. And I suppose they don't want to lose competition, or I said they don't want to lose games that are selling to other platforms, because those games will still be sold on Steam or on Epic Game Store, yada yada yada. They don't want to lose out on that. You know, they don't want to have a limited.
It's crazy that we have like shitty AI games out there.
Yeah, I guess that's just the way the market's gone. Again, I say, as I said, like, I think eventually legislators will step in and do something, but I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't see that coming quick enough.
Yeah, agree. And one more time, we landed in the topic of AI on the spot.
No, that's the thing.
It's like a really big topic at the moment, especially for us musicians.
When I wrote my notes out at the start, and I wrote a little bit about me, and then I've written just a couple of points, and then at the bottom I wrote AI, and we've literally just gone, and we'll just stay on AI for ages.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like really a topic that you could do a whole podcast just with about this topic. And
I feel like you should try and get somebody on who is like an AI specialist. Like even try reaching out to not specialist, but someone who is like an expert on the subject. Like try reaching out to Ben Jordan himself and see if I don't know if that would be possible, but he's the guy who's done the AI detection algorithm thing. Someone like that, or someone in the AI music kind of space.
That could be hella interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if he would do it, but I mean, you've had Eldray on, and
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's always worth a shot.
Yeah, and also one thing that just came to my mind, you said that when it comes down to like vocalists and vocal music, that people really want to see that person get into the story. There was like this, you obviously should know about like this, what's the name? This blue-haired anime girl doing music. There's
Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, I mean that's fully animated. There's like not even a person behind that, and so many top 10 placements in the charts.
Well, I think that predates music, AI, because I think that is actually like there's a musician behind it who makes the music. But isn't it, what are those called? Vocaloids, right?
Yeah,
It's a Vocaloid music, right? So there's a real artist behind it who's making music and stuff, but you can
just not see the artist.
Yeah, you use the artist essentially as like an instrument kind of thing. So the Vocaloid is an instrument that you can use on a computer and you can produce music. And it's, fair enough, there's some really interesting music in the Vocaloid space. When I was at uni, there was someone who played me this song, and it's going to... Oh, God. The title is something like, and I might be getting this wrong, Spinal Fluid Explosion Girl. I think that's what it was called. And it is absolutely... To be fair, it's weird, but
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's batshit insane, but it is actually really cool. Like, fantastic track. Okay. Crazy, but awesome track.
But yeah, this is already an older thing, but my point was only to say like people will also kind of connect with, let's say, imaginary artists.
Oh yeah, sure.
And the same, this big DJ Marshmallow.
Oh yeah.
It's actually a team of like 10 people behind that, and there's sometimes, who has time will stand on the stage with the bucket on the head. So it's not just like one guy in comparison to like Deadmau5. Deadmau5 was always just one guy. But Marshmallow is like this kind of industry planned thing where there's a team behind that. And whoever got the time or is nearby the venue will show up in the costume.
I like the idea of that, though, because if it's multiple guys, presumably his height just changes from gig to gig. Like occasionally the only one of who's available is like 5'7". So all of a sudden Marshmallow's like sure. But then the next gig, like the 6'3" guy turns up. So all of a sudden he's
but you don't really see that. I mean,
yeah.
The venues he's playing are big with like 10,000s of people. And usually you have, the crowd space, then you have then he stays somewhere in the top behind the DJ desk. And I don't think that you can really recognize that.
Yeah.
You can like put like a little podest below to make like play with the height. I don't think that that's such a big thing.
I just like the image. I just like the image that like behind there's just if they had to put a box down or something. So.
But that's like a theory that I heard, but I'm pretty sure that it should be like that. That there's a big team behind it. Yeah. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. Do we want to do a switch now to another team? But first, let me play the track that we talked about, the Kakariko Village from Legends of Zelda. Yeah, I play that for the listeners real quick. Nice. Yeah, one thing that I kind of see when collabing with you or when just hearing your tracks, that you really got a lot of this, this El Dre-ish drum aspects. The way you do the drums with like all the Foley and stuff. It's like a similar way as I do them after watching like his tutorials when starting with lo-fi production. Really enjoy that, this Foley-ish sound. And
to be honest, I try to there are certain things. I think it's really important with your making a project to have a sound that's like something that's identifiably you and something that people hear that's you. But around that, you evolve elements that are, or you change elements around to match the track that you're doing. And sometimes there are things I think I've developed a drum sound, but I don't specifically know what it is about it that's totally unique, because I sometimes I'll use snares, sometimes I'll use a rim click type thing, sometimes I'll use finger snap type samples for sections. There are certain, kick drums. I often will just grab like very specific kick drums that I'll cut shorter to make a punchy kind of kick sound, but with a softened attack on them, just to make them warm and round rather than punchy and aggressive. You know what I mean? I don't want too much of the transients and stuff, but I don't know. It's for me the artist that I'm most kind of influenced by in terms of percussion and drum programming is a guy called Mr. Bill, who's an IDM electronic producer, and he produces, bangers, for lack of a better word, like these really club dance music a lot of the time. But he also does these slower, more kind of chill tracks. A track here of his I love is called Screening. Incredible piece of music, really is. And a lot of that kind of music, the IDM music, it has this very Foley-ish textural kind of drum sound that I really, really like. And I try to incorporate that where I can when it fits with the music. Yeah, for me, a huge thing. The thing I learned most from Mr. Bill is about transients. It's about making sure that you don't layer transients. Don't let two transients hit at exactly the same time.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because they stack on top of one another, and that causes chaos because your limiters and all this kind of stuff. If you have a kick and a snare that hits at exactly the same time or something, or a hi-hat, if your hi-hat is layered on top of your snare and they're both hitting at the exact same time with this really sharp transient, they're going to stack on top of one another. They're going to add to one another, and you're going to have this enormous amount of noise that's coming really short, and that's going to, in a really short period of time, it's going to cause pumping in when the limiter gets involved, and it's just trying to get your drum sound to be really organized, where you're filling spaces with sounds that are turned down enough that they sit in the background when they need to sit in the background.
It's interesting because especially, in IDM or all the dance floor music, you usually go with the 4-on-the-floor kick, and then you layer the kick with the snare on the second and fourth hit. So, how do you solve that then in this kind of music? With the transients?
So it's in offsetting. So what they'll do is they'll take the snare, they'll either move the snare slightly early, or they'll move the snare slightly late. Or if it's depending on how the sample is, which sample it is, what they're using. Sometimes they'll put the snare on the same time, but they'll roll off the attack on that snare. So the snare itself doesn't have a sharp transient. The kick has a sharp transient, but the snare is just producing this kind of noise. That kind of noise, you hear the noise of it, and because the kick
feels
transient,
like the snare. Yeah,
you're hearing the kick transient as that. And like the human ear isn't sensitive enough to really differentiate things when it gets down to like the first 40 milliseconds, something called the Haas limit, which is about offsetting samples and how we hear one sound as two sounds. When you get down to those really small numbers, 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, you roll off the transient of a sound. No one's going to hear the transient isn't there. So
that's now I learned something. I have to try that out in the music. That's cool.
Yeah, no, for me, I mean, the kind of the reason why I wanted to play that track particularly, Kakariko Village, is because that is like the track that started everything with PalKid. Kind of like that track was the first track that I released. It was the first video game cover I did as PalKid. And PalKid, for me, it's a project. I've got kind of a longer story about kind of how I came into doing PalKid and how I came into how I dropped out of the music industry, how I came back into it years later. But for me, when I launched PalKid, it was essentially a Hail Mary last attempt at making something in the music industry, and it's. That track came together and I released it with very little hope, and it landed a couple of playlist places, which resulted in all of a sudden one day I checked my monthly statement, and I say my monthly statement, this was the first time it had ever happened. A payout came out, which was £20. Like this one track had produced £20 a month. And I know that sounds like nothing, obviously, because £20, it's a note, but it was that was the moment I was like, okay, hang on a minute, I might be able to actually do something with this. So it's a track that I think It means a lot to me in terms of like how it came together, and so many of the sounds that I use in my work, so many of the PalKid sounds are sounds from that track. Particularly that lead sound, that the bowed guitar, the PalKid guitar, which is just
I saw that on many collabs that we did.
Yeah,
you always have a bowed
it's always
guitar
there, and it's this sound that just it's an Omnisphere preset. It's nothing like, you know, but it's just a sound that I think just,
and the sound that you like, obviously.
It's the sound I like, and it's a sound that people generally like. Not everyone likes it, but but people like it, and it seems to resonate with people, and it's quite identifiable. So for me,
how Rick Rubin says, care about the listeners, or at last, or don't care about the listeners at all. First, always care about how you think the track is, if you're gonna like it or not. And kind of ignore the listener at all when it comes to think about how to make music.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I think sometimes you do have to think about the listener. You have to play your track for people and get some feedback and see what because they if they hear something, maybe you're doing something that's a little bit bold, a little bit out there, and you like it, but you know that it's something that might split people, or it might off-put more people than it puts in. Sometimes you got to ask the question and just have enough pride, have enough self-reflection to go, you know what, fair enough. I'll tone that back. Sometimes people who don't even like sometimes people who know nothing about music can be like the best listeners, because they listen to something and they just go, no, I don't like that. And then you can essentially, they may not be able to communicate why they don't like something, but, you know, they'll almost accidentally kind of put their finger on exactly what the solution to a problem is.
Yeah, I think the quote is more meant like not changing like the core idea of how you want your music. I mean, obviously, asking people for feedback is super important, especially when it comes down to get like the final mix and see if something pops out that is kind of hard frequency and all that stuff, or something that sounds offbeat that you maybe mistakenly drag it over, and someone realized that. I think what he meant is really the fundamental idea of if you want to make decent, or let's break it down to a specific sound. If you like this bowed guitar, and there are obviously people out there that don't like that sound, like, you should not care about that, or not care about them. If you like the sound itself, you can use that. Obviously, if you kind of EQ it weirdly and then you ask other musicians for feedback and they say like, hey, you EQ'd it weirdly, that's good feedback. This is still something you should consider listening to, I guess.
No. Yeah, no, I guess. I do kind of see. I see the point of the quote. I do see the idea. It's just one of those things where I don't know. Like I try to just. I do try to just make stuff for myself sometimes, as much as I can. But sometimes I do feel like. But I think it ties into that whole thing earlier about like content creators, right? We're content creators and we have to make things that we think people are going to. Sometimes you get drawn into this this cycle where you're just worrying about what other people will think more than what you actually think and what you're.
Yeah, I see that. That's a very what's the word? Dangerous. Like a negative spiral that you can get into by carrying too much.
Yeah, it's something I struggle with a lot, trying to figure out like what the right balance is between focusing on just what you think and worrying about what other people think. But it's I think since I bounce backwards and forwards between doing remixes and covers and writing my own original music, which I do for game soundtracks, and I think I get the best of both worlds, I guess, in terms of like constantly looking for feedback, because when I'm doing a game soundtrack, I'm constantly feeding back the soundtracks to the developer and sending bits and pieces, a demo here, or here, this is what I'm thinking for this. So you do kind of get that I guess feedback from them that.
But I guess this is the situation, you have to ask for feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, the developers of a certain game that you are writing the music for, they have maybe a vision in mind, and you just help them achieve that vision. I mean, in this case, it's like more commission work, right? It's less something that you do for yourself, that you think, okay, this is a track that sounds super cool to me, I will put that out. But now you're in a different position. Now you're doing a track for a specific genre of game, like a specific situation in the game. You cannot make a super happy track when there's a cutscene about, I don't know, something super sad and stuff.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's a lot of fun, and you're working to visual media. Audio visual work is completely different to just visual work, obviously. So, but just audio work. But yeah, it's that's another part, I guess, of what I'm doing besides PalKid, and it's it's a lot of fun.
It's a cool thing. You recently dropped for a new game the sounds. Last week on Friday?
Last week, yeah. So
exactly.
I've just done. So my kind of back catalogue of games now is I've done. So the big one that I kind of really started off was one called Inspector Waffles, which is a point and click adventure. Jan Galoso games.
It was around Christmas last year, right?
No. So that was Inspector Waffles' early days. I think you're thinking of Inspector Waffles. Oh God, that would be quite a long time ago now.
Okay.
But
then I have the other in mind.
Yeah, so I've done that one. I did early days, which was the prequel to that, which was for the Game Boy, the actual Game Boy retro.
Oh wow! Okay, so then it's really a long time ago.
Yeah. The original Inspector Waffles. Yeah, so early days was of that, and then I've done 2 games for the Playdate, which is a games console that it's quite hard to explain. So it's a small handheld games console that you can buy, which you get free games attached to the games console. So every week or so they send you a game, and it's got a little crank on it, and it's got a microphone for you can blow into it or talk into it, and it's got an accelerometer, which basically measures like movement and stuff. So it's motion controls and crank and all this stuff. I've done 2 games for that. So I've done Spike 2, The Great Emu War, and the one that came out last week, which was Chance's Lucky Escape. That was a collaboration between Galoso Games and Julia Minamata, who's the developer of The Crimson Diamond, which is another point-and-click adventure. I'm also working on City of Voices, which is another point-and-click adventure about a girl who is into. Well, actually, I won't tell you because I won't give too much away. There's a demo version of that out now. You can also wishlist it. So anyone who's listening who wants to check that out, there's a trailer for it as well. City of Voices.
Send me the links after the pod so I can include them.
Yeah. And alongside that, I'm doing, my well, I'm doing my PalKid stuff, and I'm looking at setting up a new lo-fi video game music project, which will be something a little bit different, which is going to be quite cool. But I'm not going to talk too much about that yet because
you can't mention it yet.
I'm still in the demoing phase. Like, I'm still trying to, because I like to figure out the sound first. Like, this time around, I want to get a sound locked down really early, rather than I want to write my Kakariko Village for this new project before I release it.
Interesting. So there's a lot going on for you right now.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing more, the covers or the originals for the game developers?
I would say game development music is original music for games is much more, I guess, hype. There's more pressure involved, definitely more pressure, and there's longer periods of there's more there's more imposter syndrome, I would say, in writing original music. And I have a thing about imposter syndrome, which is I think it's a very strange thing, because it's attached so it's rooted in a healthy thought process, which is self-criticism, right? Like, you are being critical of your own work, which is a really important thing. If you want to be good at any art, you have to be self-critical, right? And there's a I like to think of it as like a spectrum, right? Where if you are looking at yourself, at your own success or your own work, the commissions you've received or the streams you've received, and you're looking at your own work and going, is my work really good enough for it to be getting those streams, or for me to be getting those commissions? And you're being critical of your own work, that can be to an extent healthy. But once it gets beyond a certain point and you're being too self-critical and you're saying, I don't deserve this and I don't, then it goes too far. But then it's on a spectrum. And on the opposite side of that, you also get some people who are utterly delusional, and they produce music or art or whatever, and they get they get success, they get streams, they get commissions, money, whatever you want to, however you want to quantify it. And they fully believe their own hype, and they believe they are fantastic, and they believe they're great. And the delusional type of response to self-criticism, where there's a complete lack of self-criticism, that's equally bad.
Yeah. Was it? I think it was Tyler, the creator, who said that you have to be super delusional to reach the top in the music industry.
Yeah.
But you also should have the skills.
I don't necessarily think it's that you have to be delusional to get there. I think it's more a case of some people who get there become delusional because they lose sight of the reality that success in these fields is a mixture of luck, skill, and risk taking. Right? It's taking the risks. When it's the luck to be given those opportunities, it's the skill to take these opportunities, and it's the risk taking capability to just take the chance on taking an opportunity.
Okay, yeah, that makes totally sense. Very well said.
There you go. That would be my quote for the podcast.
Yeah, we can count that as the quote. Sweet. Do you have any topics that you want to hop in for this episode?
Not really. I mean,
we covered quite a lot right now.
Yeah. We've gone through AI in some detail, and yeah. No, I mean, I guess there's the other thing I was thinking about discussing would be like balancing health and music, and I've got kind of quite a long backstory of health issues and stuff that we could discuss and stuff, but I feel like that's going to take a very long time to discuss, and it's a really broad topic. There's so many things to discuss in terms of sedentary lifestyles and all this kind of stuff. In music, it's such a huge issue. People sitting at their computers, content creation generally. Twitch streaming, I mean, you're a Twitch streamer, right? You know it. Like, people sitting at their computers for enormous periods of time.
Yeah, I'm always like constantly moving a little bit because I don't know, I'm not made for sitting for a long time. I kind of got this hyperactive thing, and best for me is always to like hit the gym for an hour or two before streaming, because the body is like done with the energy, and then you can really sit down for hours and be like that.
Yeah, that's one. Like, that's a topic that I'd like to at some point do. I've got a lot of thoughts about it because, like, you know, as I say, I've got kind of a backstory with it. And
what do you think? Do we want to set up like a second part of the pod talking about this topic?
Yeah. And I think that'd be a fun chat to have at some point soon. But, you know,
yeah, if you're down, we can do like don't take like a too long break, so maybe hop together in like a couple weeks again, and then we do like the second part, and we talk about health, because that's a very nice topic, and I think this also like a very how do you say, important topic. So probably something that I want to also prepare a little bit. Because quite till now, most or like nearly every episode is super spontaneous, and we just talk about this and that. But I think that really could be like a very, very interesting topic that also can help a lot of listeners.
Yeah, I like it. Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, then we already like recorded over an hour, I would say. Then let's call this episode done. Thanks a lot, and it was very cool that we finally made it.
No problem.
Really happy with that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I feel like the AI section, we got into that like really, really deep, which I wasn't planning on, but that's fine. You know, it's a very important topic, and I think hopefully people will find it interesting. So,
yeah, I think it's also a topic that is now anywhere, like, or let's say everywhere, better said. Yeah, that's like, it affects so many people right now on the whole world. So many different jobs that people lose jobs because of AI. And not only in the creative aspect, like in the whole world, like, you can really get rid of a lot of, let's say, office workers, because AI can just like do their job better and with less, first with no paycheck and with way less, let's say, mistakes when it comes to, just like the basic stuff.
It doesn't make human errors.
Yeah.
It makes AI errors, but AI errors generally, it's a computer, so it's not going to miscount. It's not going to do,
It can do very good math, better than the humans.
Yeah, but it's not going to it's not going to add 10 and 10 and get 21. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for being on the pod. It was a very nice chat. Also, to the listeners, thanks for listening. And,
were we still doing? I thought we first stopped already.
Oh no, but now that was the end card.
Sweet.
Sweet.